Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog. And this is one of my favorite shows with one of my favorite people, my favorite subject video. Does video work? Is video real? Do we use video in the car business? Well, my guest today, my friend Elise Kephart, we're going to talk all about it. Hi, Elise.
Hi, Jim.
You ready to rock? You ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock. Let's
I've been
roll.
anticipating this broadcast. I mean, at least we got a 10 years of friendship now, don't
Oh
we?
my gosh, that's so crazy. Like it's insane in my head because like there have been uh so many chapters, just so many chapters through that. But before anything, before like me sitting here with you right now on this Facebook live, you it was you and I. You're like
And it was you and I. It was, and uh, I
so
had pretty well pioneered video in the car business, a
you
digital
called me at my
dealer.
store. I had no idea there was this outside world outside of just what I had at the time, which was just me and my camcorder and YouTube, and then here we are.
Oh, and I stuck that name on you, the YouTube Diva. I think we're
Yeah,
going beyond that. We're going beyond that now, but it was
right.
all brand new. You and I were like pioneers, blazing trails, and you
You know,
still are.
it's specific to video. It's been very interesting to and I guess when I sort of look at video, evolve it as I've evolved my whole Elise Kephart experience, like BDC internet process. Um, and I used to be able to say, if you're not comfortable on camera, it's okay. But like now it's just not an excuse, Jim. Like it's 2022.
No.
Um, and more think about the apps that people are watching, that people are on the daily, like Facebook, Instagram. I had to delete TikTok because it was like so addicting because it was like all these short videos just enough to cap that I had to like take it off my phone because it's gonna suck hours of
Oh
my
my gosh, I got out of TikTok and I got out of Clubhouse.
TikTok.
You know,
but
I don't want anything to do with Clubhouse, TikTok. I've got 25,000 people on Twitter.
right,
I don't. I'm a Twitter quitter. I mean, you
it's
can only do so much.
well the concept though of all of what's interesting to me is when I look at all those social media platforms that your consumer, your audience, your buyers are on every day. They're used to watching video now, right? Like
Hmm.
all kinds of video, and almost not only that, but in short increments. Like they ain't nobody got time for like a 2 minute video anymore. Like a lot of times, right? For like these quick. So with the video emails that like a decade ago that I used to teach about, like on how to edit with the camcorder and Windows Movie Maker, Internet Battle Plan in Las Vegas at Golden Nugget, that now has like transformed to like, if I'm going to use video, I want it to be efficient, meaning I get the customer to actually, for an internet lead, for example, reply back in, right? Take their fingertips and like give me a thumb tap, like just a reply in, not just that they watched it, but actually reply in. And then
This is something that I've always said. You are the master at getting appointments that actually show up.
it's so crazy. I'm gonna be that's actually gonna be my NADA topic. I'm gonna be recapping when I mirrored myself this year in May, so mid chip shortage, um, at at a GMC. It was a GMC, Buick, and Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram auto group. And in mid chip shortage, where it's like you don't even got any like Yukons or any, like nothing on the ground, right?
Hmm.
And I was able to set 18 appointments. Five of them ended up buying
18 appointments in
18 appointments
what period of time?
in one day. In one day, Bobby was there. Bobby was like,
18.
Bobby brought me water. So
Unbelievable. I've seen you do it. I've talked to people that have seen you do it.
I streamed
Matter of
it
fact,
live. You had to
you're
register, but I streamed it live, so that way there was no BSing. Yeah.
you're going to be in a dealership in Oklahoma later this week, right?
Yes, I'm going to Atlas. I was in Tulsa recently, and I went
Atlas,
to
Oklahoma.
Atlas.
Have you
Yeah.
ever been to Atlas, Oklahoma?
No, I had to Google it. I
I
thought, well,
have.
but I'll tell you, Jim, they have a Holiday Inn, and it's
Okay, yes, they do. They have both signposts on the same stick.
yeah. But same, dealers right now, the chip short, the inventory shortage is not going to get any better, right? It's like waiting for the up bus. Like it's not. we'll get the update when it's going to get better. And so the biggest struggle right now is like, I feel as though from the beginning of time, think about these videos, right? Hey, here it is. We have it available. Well, bro, if you ain't got anything available, how are you going to, what do you do in a video to make it effective if that's not your message anymore? Because you can't say that if you don't have, oh, there's a tumbleweed behind me. Like, what, you know, how do you, so what I found was if the purpose is to get the customer to respond to you, sort of use the psychology of whatever I'm saying in my video, whatever question, right? How do I gain control of any conversation? Ask a question. What question, whatever question I'm going to like, my call to action that I want to be asking for, I want it to be like an instinctual thing for the customer to be able to like take their brain, take their fingertips and reply back, not something that they're going to put on the back burner. So a lot of times, for example, you know, so many internet requests that come in right now are asking for pricing, or if it's there, right, availability. And so with that, I always like to ask something like, hey, Jim, you know, back to the OG, like video on, aside from just what you're going to ask in the video, it's so personable, right? Like that's the purpose of it too. I kind of have this joke. I call it, it's like your first boyfriend or girlfriend, like when they made you a Boys to Men, like remix tape, like for a little mixtape, right? It's like this extra effort that the customer sees, but just right from the beginning. And it's crazy. We're still talking about this. Moving on to 2022, we were doing this, Jim, in like 2009, 2010.
Oh,
And dealers are still like, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's like, I'm not comfortable with it, right? Like
personality. People were so wooden in the beginning. I mean, yeah. Now we throw it all out there. Our personality, it's just, people want to know you personally, and you were talking about people have such a short attention span.
Yeah.
The video we're doing right now, our average viewer is going to watch 38% of it.
Yeah.
And that's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
I generate a big number of viewership as far as percentage, but 38% is 2/3.
Yeah.
We got to catch them, you and I, in the first third of this video.
Well, it's especially for, there's ways now. I had to make the transition, and I made the transition. I'm committed to myself that I was going to be as fast as I was, like, just it's like a skill set, how fast you type, how fast you can edit a video. I've been editing videos on a PC, like for a long time. Well, as smartphones got more advanced, this is all that you need now, right? Like the camera on a smartphone to do, for an example, a video to a client. You don't need to pop out your camera. If it's going to be like a marketing video or more of like an advertisement, yes, use the fancy gimp, like all that stuff. But for just a quick, you don't want to spend a lot of time. So you can literally just use your phone. And, there's these, I kind of came up with this concept when I sold cars, which was a price quote video. Well, back then the videos were like 4 minutes. Ain't nobody got time for that. But you can use apps on your phone now to literally take a picture of your pencil, and your video, like they're looking at it like a picture, but there's like a little small video. You could put it wherever to like point to things and explain basically the quote. So I use an app called Splice. It's just a video editing app. A lot of people go, oh, you don't use like Premiere or any Adobe. I use Adobe and so many other of those, like everything on my computer. But Splice,
it's just called Splice.
Splice, not. Make sure you put the P in there, otherwise it's going to take you to the pizza app. It's not Splice.
Okay, is it like I've got it in the corner of the screen here?
Where do I see that?
On my Splice. Okay. Yep.
And it allows you to, with so many different formats that you want to think about. Like, do you want it to be like hot dog style or hamburger, or like hot dog style or hamburger style? Do you want it to be like an Instagram or certain news feed format? You can use this app to format and sort of lay out.
Let me slow down just a second and ask you a question. Now, when do you get these people while they're still on the website and they're communicating with the dealership? When are you talking to these people now?
Typically, I work my niche, my specialty is like by the time when it pops into your CRM.
Okay, when it pops into your CRM. Because one thing I'm advocating right now is somehow we've got to get these people to zero moment while they're still on the website.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Zoom type video, however we do it,
Mm-hmm.
we've got to get, and video has always been my preferred method of communication. You know that.
Right.
And, and today, as you mentioned, like right now, we're on 5 different social media channels, 5
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
I'm broadcasting into 5 different places, including YouTube, including LinkedIn. I mean, we are live. This is beta live on LinkedIn. I got approved for beta live, and you wannabes out there that can't get approved on LinkedIn. The old man did. The old man did. So we're all over right now.
Yeah.
So you want it when it pops into CRM. How quick is the response?
I want to get the response in like under a minute. Like it should be.
How do you do that?
How do I do that? I make sure that I have a solid plan of action, that the lead is always getting handled by someone, or even a backup, like an immediate backup that's constantly.
See, that's what I love about you. Now, one of the things I love about you, I love a lot of things about you, but one of the things I love about you is you go into these BDCs and you actually work the leads, you actually work the deals. I mean, you're not telling them from the sales desk how to work the BDC. No, you're in the BDC. You are right in the throng. You're eating the free pizza with the rest of them.
You know what's kind of interesting, Jim? Like this, I would say this last year with this inventory shortage, and I've noticed this too, and with one of the common things that when you get engagement from a customer that is happening is longer distance because of the inventory shortage. And if it's longer distance, you have to quote turn it to a salesperson, or a salesperson has to work it, right? Like there's a certain way that you work longer distance deals, besides just asking for them to come in if they're 4, 5, 6 hours away. You're gonna almost sound ridiculous if that happens. So it's interesting this last year. So a lot of dealerships, while the bulk of still what I do is BDC, I feel as though a lot of dealerships, and I asked this question yesterday on my Facebook, have almost created a hybrid system, or they're now cross training, right?
A lot of dealerships are going A to Z with the salespeople,
yes.
like Walzer. Walzer, one of the premier groups in the country. I mean, I can't say enough complimentary things about Walzer. The Shop Group. Shop is got the A to Z training. Matter of fact, they paid the old dog to teach them a little bit about F&I because, because we're training salespeople to do what managers used to do. Now, what I found out, even with these A to Z groups, there is still a manager in the background. That was my main objection, is they were getting rid of managers, but they're not.
Yeah.
They might be changing some pay structure around, but still in all, there is an F&I manager. There is an internet manager. There are people coaching the salespeople in the background, but the customer doesn't see them.
Right.
Are you training those people?
Yes. So it's the way, it's interesting, whether it's a to Z salesperson who's handling the internet lead. The way I treat it, I call it back of the house. It's from like when I waited tables. It's everything from when it pops into the CRM to getting the customer in the showroom. Like once the customer's in the showroom, you gotta do the test drive and all that, and like all the Jim Ziegler stuff. Like I haven't done that since 2014, right? Mm-hmm. Like I haven't. So my whole energy has been,
I don't even do Jim Ziegler stuff anymore.
Well, that's like the front of the house, right? The steps of the sale when the customer's in the showroom. But I treat everything from when it pops into the CRM to whether it's whoever's handling that opportunity. But I look at it interesting because I do 110% know now that it is a different skill set than the skill set that you have to have when the customer is face to face with you.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. And this is where you have, when I named you the YouTube Diva, because, here you were communicating with people. You're calling them by their first name. I mean, it was like, what in the world? This woman's doing the stuff I'm teaching before, and she's doing it better than I am. That's what I brought you out and introduced you to the world. It just,
oh man, that was before Lily. Like that was wasn't even a thought yet.
Oh, I remember when your first daughter was just a twinkle in your eye and a bulge in your dress.
She's gonna be 9 now. She's turning 9 this next month.
She's turning 9. I remember when she was born. I remember we were in New Jersey and you were that big at
Oh man. Yeah, she is it's interesting with both my girls, and I have Jalen who's 5. I feel as though they are both different sides of me, to the extreme. So Lily being the conservative and like the well-mannered and just the smart and like the P's and Q's, and Jalen is a Leo. So Jalen is like crazy. Like, so I'm in the middle and extremes on both ends. But yeah, she's gonna be
I
amazing.
love it. I love it. I love it.
She actually edited. I should show you this text message. She has a YouTube channel. It's like private or whatever. So like it's just family and stuff that are on it. But she edits videos, and so she made this new introductory video, and she's like, "I got my video skills from you." And I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
man."
that is amazing. Do you know Brett Sutherland?
I am not wearing my glasses, so
Brett Sutherland's
oh,
Brett Sutherland is a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, I go back to when he was just a kid. I mean, his dad and I are friends. You
yeah.
know, Brett Sutherland owns a number of Nissan dealerships. He's in the tech world. This guy's an entrepreneur. He is out there. He says, Brett just on the sidebar said, "I love the fact you jump in and work the systems that you teach."
Oh, that's the only way. I'm such a control freak, Jim. I'm not going to teach something that doesn't work. So it's almost selfishly like I kind of have, and it's crazy.
Hey, coming from Brett Sutherland, what a great compliment.
That is awesome. Like thank you. But it selfishly, I feel as though like it sharpens my axe constantly, right? If I'm just teaching it, then like you go to shoot a free throw again, you're like, oh dang, I'm a little rusty, right? Like you got to constantly still be in the game, and especially with the way things are changing now. Think about like who we're in the owner's manual of like internet sales and BDC was this whole inventory shortage that we're in. Like, what is that on page 27? I missed it. Like,
Yeah, excuse me. Oh, now we inventory shortage. Are we going to lay down and die? Are we still doing service? Are
yeah.
we still ordering cars? I talked to some of my friends that are still doing 400, 500, 600 units a month.
Well,
Are we buying inventory from the public?
yeah.
I mean, it's not that you stop advertising. It's you stop advertising what you were advertising, and you start bringing in people that you weren't communicating with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I've thought about this too, and I feel as though this inventory shortage has sort of fast forwarded us to what people used to call like digital retailing. And I always used to tell myself before this inventory shortage that if we ever got to a point of that, in my head, constantly working in the field as a BDC rep so often, I'm thinking to myself, well, you're still going to run into the same issue, which is a customer willingly gives us a bunch of information, and then they don't pick up their phone right away. They don't text back right away. It's like this chasing game. So that problem still is like the core problem now, right? I did a dealership scrub yesterday, and like the leads are still there. These are customers. It's not like we're calling from a white page phone book for funsies. They willingly could have searched.
Oh, Elise, look where you're going with this. Oh my gosh. Most dealerships, we have audited CRMs, and we have found as many as 60,000 dead leads.
Yeah.
I mean, those are not dead leads. Those are deals we didn't make at the time, but those are still living, breathing human beings in your market that tried to buy a car that you sell. Maybe they bought from your competition, but they still live here. My God, they like your product. They know your dealership. Why are we neglecting those people?
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely something that I would, for dealers out there, I kind of look at it like I would assume that most dealers have at least modified at a minimum, their processes and things that they're saying, things that they're doing, and all these just crazy things that have been out of our control. Because you can't.
Okay, well, let's talk about what does Elise Kephart do? Okay, here I am. I'm on the keyboard, or I go to Elise Kephart, Elise at EliseKephart.com. I communicate with you. I call you on the phone with a number on the website. Elise, I want you to come into my dealership.
Yes, sir.
Oh, at least I'm kind of ignorant. I'm a old school dealer. I don't even know where the on switch on my computer is. What are you going to do when you get here?
Well, let me ask you this first, Jim. When it comes to
Mhm.
your current internet traffic, customers that are on your website or any third party, are those handled by a salesperson or a call center or BDC, or is it a hybrid that you have set up?
We have a BDC and we pay a minimum wage and free pizza.
I hope the free pizza every other Saturday, though, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you guys are using a CRM tool, I'm guessing, currently as well.
Yeah. We have drive centric.
Okay, awesome. So DriveCentric already has a video tool. Are you using, is your BDC using
At
video at all?
least I have no idea what they do in there. But
All right.
I just called because my general sales manager said the numbers aren't there.
Okay. Well, the reason that I was asking is my niche essentially. So what I do is I focus, whether it's BDC or a salesperson, everything back of the house. So from the moment that it drops into DriveCentric to getting your appointment showing up, there's two things that are the biggest struggle right now with most dealerships. And if you haven't met with your BDC, I'm sure either of them would raise their hand willingly to this. Customers actually responding to you. I can't do anything, I can't sell anything, I can't communicate until a customer actually responds to me. That's the
Well, I'm
first.
sick of hearing that. I hear it all the time. I can't get in touch with them. Yeah, they won't call
So
us back. I mean, I hear that
my
all the time.
my
You know,
last name's Kephart, so I call it the heartbeat. Getting the heartbeat first.
the
Once I
Kephart
have
beat. Okay.
the heartbeat, once I have the heartbeat, the second struggle is now getting to the appointment. Well, the struggle there is a lot of salespeople, BDC, they just want to rush there, but there is an algorithm and an equation so that ultimately, my process is essentially to stack your appointments high. It's what allowed me to set, when I mirrored my own process, 18 appointments in one day, and keep your show and your sell at 50. If I stack high and keep it 50-50, then at the end of the day, 18 appointments set, let's just say that's my record. 10 are going to show and 5 are going to buy. With this inventory shortage, I'm going to write this down as well. Do you know what your front and back is? Typically, it's over $4,000 right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
So
knew that. I knew
yeah.
that.
So the only reason that I say that is even with the inventory shortage, we know that the benefit is the gross profits right now. So it's really a scalability of taking the internet leads that you already have. We don't need to pile on more. I want to focus on the internet traffic that you have, getting the heartbeat within the first 2 days. My process is now trimmed down to the first 2 days. It doesn't mean that that's when a customer is going to buy, but they're going to raise their hand to me. They're going to respond to me, email, text, or phone. I'm going to have like a contact, right, a heartbeat from them in the first 2 days, and then from there converting it to an appointment. So so that's kind of my, you know,
Well,
that's
how do you use video in that process?
so the way that I use video is I use it a couple different ways. I use it in the actual what I call heartbeat process when you're trying to get the customer to respond to you. Um,
What do you
through
say to people? I mean, you're sending them a cold video, and the people say hello dealership, and
give me any.
hello dealership. My name's
So
John. I'm looking for a Nissan Sentra.
okay, an internet lead that comes in under John Nissan Sentra, right?
John, or yeah, this isn't one of those Mr. Donald Duck. This is a real one.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first thing I'm going to ask is, do I have this car here? If I have this car here, then you can beef up the video and take your legs, your 2 legs, and walk out with your smartphone and make this video in front of the car, right? If I don't have the car available, then I'm not going to be able to do that, right?
So you'll do a video walk around.
No, I will not do a video walk around. That's going to take time. I'll share with you what my first response video is
Well,
now.
I sort of knew the answer, but I had to ask.
10 years ago, yes. That's going to aim.
Mhm.
So I want this to be
Oh,
efficient.
I remember we used to trek out to the lot and do the walk-arounds, but
So
now we're
what
not.
I'll do is I'll do 5 things. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to butter the customer up and thank them. I'm going to ask an easy, instinctual, predictable, applicable question that a third grader could answer. I'm going to go over that in a minute. And then I know the customer's not going to actually take their fingertips and call me back, but I'm going to share my store line to call me back. And then because I have the algorithm on how to take a text to a phone call, I'm actually going to encourage a text back. So altogether, it's going to sound like this. Hey, Jim, good morning. Elise over here at ABC Motors. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for going on our website. It had popped up It looks like, I want to make sure this is correct for your price portfolio. It popped up. It looks like you were doing a little bit of early pricing research. I want to make sure this Nissan Versa is the correct one. Can you do me a favor? I left a voicemail for you. The store line is actually listed right here. Or I'm going to send you a text as well, if that's easier, if you can let me know if the Versa is correct. And looking forward to helping you out. Bye for now. So that's basically it. The question that I'm asking is this the right vehicle? Right? And I know that they're like, the psychology is it's an extreme and then like something easier. The extreme being, who in their right mind would take their fingertips, call somebody back to let, yes, Elise, the Nissan Versa was correct. They're not going to do that. They'll take the easier route, which I'm good with because I get the heartbeat anyways. And I know how to bring it to a call at that point, which is text. And then over text, what I'm going to ask with the same like video that I've emailed is kind of a similar thing. Hey, I made this video for you, so you know that I'm over here at the store.
Now, Brett Sutherland just asked, I'm going to be using a cell phone or a dealership number.
I want wherever I left the voicemail, like if I'm making this video assumingly that I just left a voicemail or I just tried to call the customer for the first time, right? And that typically for me is the store line. When some voicemail is built into someone's phone now, I want that caller ID on the voicemail to match like the voicemail that I'm saying to call me, like the number to call me back on, right? There's nothing more frustrating where like the caller ID on the voicemail is one, and then I got to like listen to the transcription and like get the real number to call back. I want it all to match. I know though, that if you were to ask a BDC rep, how many people actually call you back? They don't text you back. They don't email you back, but they actually call back. It might be 2 people. So I know they're not actually going to call me back. I know that. That's my 8-mile move. I know they're not they're but that's why I give them the extreme. And then the easier route, which I know they're going to take anyways, but it is the text. And then I'm making sure that my text mirrors everything that I said in my voicemail and so forth. But to answer your question, I usually use whatever number I've just left a voicemail for on the customer. If that that's the number that I'll use in the video.
Okay, so if you used the dealership's number, you're going to leave the dealership's number.
If I just called the customer from my cell phone, for example, and said, hey, here's my cell phone, so call me back. Then in the video, that's the number. Hey, I just left a voicemail. Here's my number, my cell phone again to call back. I'm repeating what I said in the voicemail, and all those numbers you want to match, if that makes sense.
So text. I'm looking at my cell phone, and my cell phone, I just deleted a whole bunch of numbers, but I bet I had 50 calls in there today. 50 calls. I mean, the spam just clogged it up. But you know what? I answered every one of my texts.
Yep.
Texting is incredible.
Well, so, get this. I have it down. It's so crazy. I can show you screenshot after screenshot where you're going to read a conversation, real customer, real agent, where the text, the text is brought down to a phone call, a permit, meaning the customer willingly says like, yes, you can call me right now. Right. It's not right away. It's but what's crazy about that text, that screenshot, if I have like a ton of them, is I have what's called snippets. So every little blue bubble that the agent wrote or the salesperson wrote is one of my responses. I don't know how to, the best way to describe it is if you can make everything predictable and then you give the salesperson or BDC rep variations to say the right psychology of something, but just word it a little differently, then it doesn't seem like a template. I don't want things to seem templated, right? So
no, that has been my thing. It's conversation, not memorization.
Yeah.
It's conversation, not memorization. Sound like a human being, sound like a person, put it in effective words. I've even taught through the years in my sales presentations, modules, not memorization. As long as you get the subjects across to the customer.
Right. Well, and you have to look at another psychology move that I kind of use is what's the best way to get someone's attention? It's repetition. So what I'm saying in the voicemail, what I'm asking in the video, what I'm asking in text, what my video that I send over text as well says, and then what all my emails say that I'm sort of is like the same mirrored easy question, right? If it's a trade, I'm saying the question of like, I apologize. The certificate you got a lot of times is automated. Can you let me know if it's a 2007 Honda Accord? It looks like you were doing some research on selling. And that's the easy question that I'm sort of like repeating in my video for like video. Just, I call it the icing on the cake, the mixtape for your boyfriend, girlfriend. It just enhances everything that I'm doing. Like, and it's crazy. It's almost kind of freaky when you use a tool. There's so many of them out there, but when like in the early days when you had YouTube, you sort of like saw the view count, but now like there's different apps. I obviously still use BombBomb, where it shows like when they watched it, how long they watched it, like what part did they rewind the tape on, and you're like, dang, why is this person watching this at like 11-12 at night, like 5 times over, like on this one? It's kind of interesting, right? Or if you send them a price quote video, you can see what part of the video they're like,
why are they watching this at 3 a.m? Because they have bad credit.
so I mean, it's funny. I always feel like a BDC rep or a good BDC like department is almost like has that FBI skill set to them too. You know, they gotta sort of like think in different layers like that. And yeah.
I love it. So anyway, when you go into a dealership, you have a big meeting with the BDC, and what do you say to the BDC people? Where do we start this thing?
Wow.
Because first of all,
yeah,
I know that there are people that I call the mutineers. You know, I mean, they're gonna sabotage the program. They're gonna prove that what they've been doing is better than what you're bringing. What are you doing here? This is, you know, how do you handle that meeting?
Well, the first thing that I do is we have a open discussion. This is a Bobby Heron move, an open discussion, a table discussion on what their pain points are. They're in the grind every day. I want them to tell me before I go into any training. My job is to resolve their pain points. They're in the grind every day. Now I already know what their pain points are, right? That's the whole, just gave my move away, but I already know what their pain points are, but I'm going to have them tell me, right? We're going to write down things like customers not picking up their phone, customers not getting back to you, getting ghosted, right? Can't leave voicemails, like, having like all the stuff, right? Customers only wanting this, customers demanding, like all the stuff, inventory shortage, all the things. We write them all out. And then when I go in, I make sure that there's a resolution to every single one of those, like with the way that I teach it. So, and part of it too is very similar to, like, I remember my first day, like in car sales, way before internet, when I was just like straight from Starbucks on the floor, and I watched my first deal. Like we had a closer at the store. It was at Heller Ford. And you see your first deal, like you see your manager, your closer, like close the first deal. And then they do the same thing, like right after that, right? Like on a Saturday, and you're like, oh, it worked like twice, right? So this is like the same thing. I don't just like teach it, but I have a magic trick basically where I go, all right, so I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes, and I'm going to pick up the phone, and I'm going to go into your CRM for the first time before I start teaching. And in 5 minutes, I'm going to get a customer on the phone, and I'm going to set the appointment. And in the small, eensy teensy, weensy chance that I don't set the appointment, everything about this phone call is going to be written in this envelope, down to conversation time, what the customer says, and the exact reasons.
Wait a minute, you're daring them.
Oh, it's poker for me, Jim. Like it's so
poker. You're playing. Yeah. So you've already told him what's going to happen. I'm going to set an appointment within 5 minutes.
That's what I'm doing at NADA, and then it's like boom, everything that happens everything that happens in those 5 minutes is exactly what I wrote down in the envelope.
I remember the first time you spoke at Internet Battle Plan, and and people were like, their mouths were open because they'd never seen anything like this. It's just amazing the way that, and if I was a dealership, I'd hire you right away. I mean, and that would be Elise at EliseKephart.com, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
So what kind of cameras are you using? How are you doing the video?
So just for my trip, like if I'm mirroring myself as Elise Timberlake, which is my alias for a BDC rep, or when I'm training in store and we're doing, then I just
is eat up with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. You see the big over there, and then don't you worry, I have like another one in the corner.
Oh my God, an altar! Show it again.
Oh, look at that!
You have set up an altar to Justin Timberlake. I mean, do we worship and light candles? Oh my God, a Justin Timberlake altar! I cannot believe you did that. Okay.
Well, so, but I just use my smartphone. It's that, and I think I used to say that there was like, if you're not comfortable on camera, you need to get on it. It's part of the skill set now. It just is. Like people hopefully aren't shying away. Oh, I'm not going to do video. That's not my thing. whether you show your face or not, like get familiar with video. That Splice app that I mentioned, what I really love about it is as like a beginner skill set for people who maybe aren't comfortable in selfie mode, record your video and then do a voiceover. So that could save time too. Like if it was a product information video, for example, you edit it all together and then this time you voice over it. It sounds personal. You say, "Hi Jim," da 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 da, and then you send that to Jim, and then the next one, "Hi Debbie," and then that one's to Debbie, right? And so you can do things like that to sort of
So
scale.
you've got your video already canned. You just
I have it down. Like for me, I mean, I'm always practicing my free throws, but like so I do a personal video every time, like just one easy on the fly, like because it's an easy question that I'm asking too, right? It doesn't have to be complex. I don't got to go find keys. I'm ultimately, if you do the math on how to set 18 appointments in an 8 hour, we'll call it an 8 hour workday, then you have to be setting an appointment like every half hour, right? So you ain't got time to diddle daddle. Like
no.
I want to use video to enhance and to enhance my process, but I don't want it to go into the algorithm of taking up time.
Are
So
people more today starting to take off-site delivery as opposed to the appointment?
I haven't. There's stores that I work with that offer as an option, but not it. But I haven't.
The
I
consumers really aren't doing the Vroom Carvana thing as much as we would
I
be
I
afraid of.
I feel with Carvana and Vroom and all that stuff, like they had a crazy Super Bowl commercial this last year. I think it was Vroom. My thought on that though is like if you don't want uh those ads are targeted against the dealership, against the salesperson. Well, it's really simple. If you don't want that to happen, then don't fit the stereotype, right? There has to be this kind of change right now then and it's gotten better, but my goal has always been to teach to like not be the stereotype of what a car dealership or car salesperson is, right? Especially nowadays when you get an internet lead, do you not think that customer went online and did a ton of research before they took their fingertips and willingly gave you their phone number, or I should say their email, sometimes not their phone number? They don't do that for fun, right? So it's kind of
No.
like I want to make sure that from when that moment happens, everything that I'm doing, yes, is in my favor, but I'm also backing it up with like just not being shady, Jim. like everything has to be sort of transparent now too. And it is. For once, the automotive industry is like one price and it's MSRP plus plus right now, and it's crazy. So
Oh, it's insane the grosses they're making.
supply
You
and
know,
demand.
so how much information do you give a customer before you set the appointment? I mean,
Not a ton. Not a ton.
well, tell me about that. I mean, how do you get away from it? How do you not? I mean, I'm sure that we're not avoiding information. Of
No.
course, we're. Yeah.
No, so I treat it. I've kind of brought up this concept. For stores that ever made the transition uh, from like A to Z salespeople and then to a BDC, where the BDC now sets the appointment for their product specialist. Well, a lot of customers in certain regions are like, "What? We're not going to be working with like you, right?" They don't understand that process. So in that same way, with current times right now, the way I think about it is like for me to set an appointment, especially when I don't have a car or like a new car, for example, on the ground, then I just have to come up with the solution. And selling the sizzle, the way that I paint the value of the appointment, it has to be like done confidently. I've only been successfully able to do it on the phone, right? Because I would never lie to a customer and say, "Oh, we have that vehicle there. Come on down." A lot of dealerships, I wouldn't do that, but I'm confident in setting an appointment as long as I dress up the fact that I don't have that specific car in stock a little bit nicer. So what I do is I just I treat however the lead comes in, whether the customer responds to my video, let's say over text, I'm taking that text by default to a phone call. I treat a BDC rep. If you're a lawyer, how are you going to win your argument? It's going to be a live conversation. And there's an argument there. Well, no, a lot of customers text for the heartbeat, yes. But for my close, if I want an appointment, especially if I want to be able to sell an appointment on a car that I don't have, then I want my argument on that to be a live conversation. So, Do you believe in restricting how many days out you should set an appointment? For instance, it's Monday and I have a full week but cannot visit your store until Friday afternoon. Do you set that appointment on Monday or reach back out later in the week? So that is the pinpoint. That's a good question, and Matthew Kelly answered it. What I look at is anytime, just like how a salesperson, when they know that the customer, no matter, oh, I got to go to lunch. Customer says, I got to go to lunch. They have a meeting. They have groceries in the car. Like, they know that when they leave the showroom to go think about it, to go pray about whatever it is, like that they just know that the probability is they're not coming back, bro. Like, they just know that. That's like a salesperson 101 like instinct, right?
They don't be back.
Kind of bringing it to Matthew's question, that moment, if I'm a BDC rep or internet sales rep and I'm on the phone, like, setting the appointment, right? Because I want to bring everything ideally to the phone. I have to look at that game of chance. If I hang up the phone, that's like a customer leaving the showroom. I could be chasing, right? So I could be chasing. I could be chasing if I hang up the phone, just like, oh, that customer's not coming back. So I don't want to hang up the phone to follow up, because a lot of times, that follow-up date, the customer doesn't make when you call them back. Do they pick up their phone? No, you're chasing them again. So when I have them live on the phone and I'm setting that appointment, I'm going to
set the appointment. Don't chase them. If you don't set the appointment, the chances of them coming back are slim.
It's like, you got to treat it don't you know by now how many times you got to like, can you call Harry back? You call Harry back at 5 o'clock. And then it's like, bro, you just got played. You're getting like, and then they're not picking up at 5 o'clock. Oh, call them on the weekend. They're not picking up on the weekend. Like, I just stopped. I started to tick mark how often those kind of things were happening. And when I was like, dang, this is happening a lot, these circle back dates, I'm like, I'm not going to take that chance unless I absolutely have to. And that's the way that I treat internet leads now. Like, I'm very.
But do you set an appointment for 2 weeks from now? That's what he's really asking.
No, not 2 weeks. Absolutely not 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Look, I can't come in today, but I could come in 2 weeks.
So what I do anytime that I get in an argument, right? So they say 2 weeks. I'm not going to argue with them right away and go, okay, like, well, what about sooner? Anytime I get an argument, I figure like that trust wall is up. So I got to bring it down for me to get through. So if you were to say, like 2 weeks from now, I'm not going to be able to make it. Hey, you went, not a problem at all. I'm going to back off like I'm going to get off the phone, right?
Because they're lying.
Right. Back it off, right? That brings your ether down and then you go back in. So I do that with everything. Like, it's funny when people see me on the phone for the first time, because that's all written in the envelope, right? Everything that's going to happen. And it's like it's like a fake out move, like a Michael Jordan fake out move. They think I'm going to get off the phone, but I'm not. I'm doing that to get that wall to drop before I go back in for my argument again.
Okay, you're acting like you're going to get off the phone, but now we're coming back, and
yes. So it is a skill set. Like a lot of these are all.
It's a monstrously huge skill set.
It's fun. I love it though.
Oh my God! So I've been teaching skill sets, and now technology's in the skill set. I mean, so it really hasn't changed that much in the 47 years I've been kicking around. Customers are not that original. They're doing the same shit they've always done.
Yeah. So to end, like you asked earlier, how do you get customers to like sort of get the conversation in your control? Well, I take everything that customers tell me. This is what I'm constantly doing. Everything that customers say, the psychology that I use is, if in my language, whether it's text, email, or phone, if I can mirror what they're already thinking, or like mirror what they're already going to tell me as an objection, which a lot of times is, I was just clicking around. I was just doing a little research, right? So I wouldn't want to bombard that customer. Hey, we have that available. Hey, when did you want to come in for a VIP test drive? Because they're thinking, I'm just doing research. Instead, I'm going to mirror my language, right? Let's say I get that customer on the phone. Then I can right off the bat start off the call solid by going, hey, you know what? I just wanted to, I apologize. My computer's not always right. It popped up. It looks like you were doing a little bit of early research. I want to make sure this is the right vehicle on a Versa. Does that sound correct? Any question that's going to come out of my mouth over text or over email, role play it with yourself. Make sure that the probable responses are in your favor. And if you're like, I don't want the customer to say that, then don't put yourself in your own corner. Reword your own question.
You got to knock down that trust wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even physically on the lot, when I see customers, I'm walking toward them and I see a customer start to shy away from me. First thing I say is, hi, folks, just looking.
Right.
Are you folks just looking? Oh yeah, just looking. Oh my God, I'm glad. So many people want to make a hasty decision, and that knocks down that trust wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's the way, if I'm going to give a prescription, if I'm a doctor, I'm going to give a prescription, my customer needs to have confidence that the prescription that I'm going to give them is the right prescription. So in building, like getting that trust wall to drop, and then also what I always like to tell the customer is, things like, I work with all of our customers online, or I work with all of our Costco customers. That way it sort of puts you in a place of like the white coat, like the authority, like, oh, okay, this person knows what they're talking about, right? With whatever you're going to tell them. But part of that just comes with, um, I don't just say like read this. You can't just read something and have confidence. You actually have to have the confidence. And how do you do that? Kind of, it's just like you got to get swung. You have to keep. It's like a skill set. You have to keep, like practicing it. I don't believe in just winging the phone call or winging anything now. I think that's maybe what's changed over the last 10 years. I used to think that a video was cute, a video would get you a decent response, but now I'm so much more like true Asian me, like math, like I got to know the system, like exactly what's going to happen when. So it's been kind of crazy to fine tune that whole process.
Well, I know for a while there you were traveling 52 weeks a year. I mean, you were staying in San Antonio for 3 weeks at a time. I
Yeah.
remember that
Oh,
grind.
Bobby and I were like, we had some, yeah, we both went out to San Antonio for a couple years. Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, 3 weeks at a time in a hotel in a dealership, away from your family, 2 weeks at a time, at 10 days. I mean, whatever it was too long. I mean, I was fearing for you. And how's your schedule these days?
So now it's been interesting actually. It's been almost 2 years since I've been now sharing custody of my daughters. So whereas before it's typical extreme on both ends, I traveled a ton. There was one point where I was almost on the road for 6 months straight in early 2019. And now it's, I travel when I don't have my daughters, which is 50% of the month currently right now.
Okay, so you still got 26 weeks a year in
Yeah,
inventory.
right,
Yeah.
right. My biggest thing though, honestly, is, I just surpassed my time in this leaving retail game. So I guess like my time outside of retail to my whole time in retail from like the Heller Ford days. So 7 years and 7 years. And where I'm at right now, I realize I need to scale myself. Right, I'm my only inventory essentially. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. With I hired my first my first employee in July after Digital Dealer, and I'm going to be doing NADA in March, and I am working
I
on.
am so glad you're on the stage at NADA.
I'm
This
so excited. I'm like,
oh,
I'm. It's just a lot of emotions. Like it's. I've never. It's the one thing that I've never. Yeah, and I think it's. But I'm also treating it just very competitive, like super, and it's just a workshop, right? It's not even like I'm the head. It's just a
oh,
little
hey,
workshop, and I'm treating it very obsessively. So I'm excited.
hey, it's going to be nothing but a piece of cake for you. I've done 17 of those.
I know. I
I
know.
mean, 17 times I've spoken. I've always been in the top 10, and you know, the NADA is the big show. I mean, you're going to have audiences out there that are decision makers, people that are dealers looking for you're going to have a better audience than I think you've ever had. So yeah,
I'm excited.
it's gonna be an adventure. I stopped speaking at NADA conventions, I guess 2015. I told them I wasn't going to do it anymore, and they were like, "What?" I said, it's one of them, been there, done that, and I am so glad for you doing that. But you still have some inventory open right now. I mean,
Yeah.
if a dealer needs help with the BDC, you're
Did my
available.
email pop up at the bottom? Like I've been keeping
Oh,
with.
I've had your email on this on
Oh,
off and
perfect.
on, but
Yeah,
it's up there right now. I just put it
I've
back up.
what's crazy is we always say like your texts are supposed to be less than your email. This whole year, my email I've made sure to be less than my texts. Like, remember
Wow.
how quick I responded to you an email the other day?
Yeah. I
Like, my texts now are insane, but my emails, like,
Yeah.
I've unsubscribed to like all this. I'm like, when did I subscribe to this? So it's very, if you send me an email there, it's gonna show up, or it's gonna go to Melissa, and I'll get in touch with you.
Well, that is amazing. And so you got one full-time assistant. I bet you're working her to death.
Yeah, no, she's like my manager. Like, there's so many other pieces. There's just so much. I think about this, like, you jump off the cliff and, hey, I'm gonna go do my own thing and like start my own business, and then, but I never went to school for this, Jim. Like, I'm like a lot of these things, I guess. And I guess when I first made the whole Elise Kephart experience, it was like, all right, I'm gonna go venture out and like go do me, and then here I am 7 years later, and it's like, okay, I need to scale, right? Like, and this is like, how do I do that? You didn't really think about this, Elise, when you named your company your own name and your own inventory. And but what has been really exciting is everything that our industry, I think, has gone through the last almost 2 years. I've always made it a commitment to still like to make sure that the things that I'm teaching still work by constantly doing them live.
That's it. My entire consulting career, I sat on the desk. I did F&I. I did sales management. I did used cars, new cars. BDC was not existent when I was in retail, so I always hired that consultant. I always hire what I don't know. But I would go in a dealership, and I've got a picture on my desk of the last time I actually worked a desk. It was at Tammy LeBlue's store.
Yeah.
When I was actually working the sales manager desk, and you look at the people that have come up that have learned my processes, and I'm still learning new processes. I've been in business 47 years. My God, you just said something a minute ago.
Well, I'm blessed that I'm 10 years of that. So I'm a
And
quarter
so,
of
well,
that.
you said I've
I'm a
been in the
chapter out of
business seven. I've been in the business 7 years retail and 7 years consulting.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the same math while you said that. Okay, I was in retail for 10 years, and I've been 37 years in consulting. My God. I mean, 47 years I was in
Well,
retail
it's
for
funny
10.
because I don't know about you. I think I've heard, but for me, like being a car salesperson was just supposed to be a temp thing, like till I figured it out, what I was going to do. And so that's the thing that I love about this business. One of the things is like so many people just like, oh, I'm going to go sell cars till I figure it out. And then there's
Oh,
infinite things. And
well,
it's like,
I was writing for the magazines, and I had 40 employees, 10,000 feet of offices. I grew large, and in 2008 I downsized all that when the business crashed. But I was writing the articles in the magazines, and I was predicting the future, and I was talking, and I was wondering who was going to come up behind. And all of a sudden we got Brian Benstock and Brian Kramer. Those two are sort of like, I passed the torch to them as far as future forecasting and industry process forecasting, and then I look at you, and I see where you're going with the BDC and the technology end of it. It's all in safe hands. I can get off the stage anytime.
oh no.
It's amazing. I am so proud of the watched you grow. I mean, you came out of retail, and a lot of people don't realize. I'll say it. You're an introvert.
I am in real life. Isn't that funny? Isn't
Yeah,
that super, super funny? It is.
yeah. See,
That's
I mean, yeah. At
sometimes.
least Elise Kephart, the Elise Kephart experience is a cartoon character, like the Alpha Dog is a cartoon character. Don't confuse the hat and the jewelry. Don't confuse that for Jim Ziegler. This is the Alpha Dog. This is a
Yeah.
cartoon character I created. What you're seeing here is an introvert that she created this other character who is Elise Kephart.
Almost like Elise. Yeah, I guess you can look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I did. Was that out of turn? Right? I just.
No, you know what? It is interesting. I've kind of been studying a lot with like just different like mental fitness and things like that. And I read into this theory that it's called your dark side. So like you got to use your dark side for like a good superpower. So it is a superpower, but yeah, it is interesting. I in real life I can be super. I'm like Lily. I can, if I don't really like know you or I'm unsure, I can just like, you wouldn't even recognize my
Oh
personality
yeah.
a lot of
Oh yeah.
times.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, Elise Kephart is your alter ego. Like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And the alpha dog is my alter ego. I always laugh when people underestimate me because they see this person and they don't realize the intellectual dynamics behind it.
Yeah.
I am so pleased. We burned an hour and we did some interesting things. I hope people get in touch with you. If you want to hire Elise, I've got it on the screen, Elise at elisekephart.com. Elise will turn on whether you're BDC or whether your salespeople are handling the internet. She trains both directions, and call her and get an audit on the phone of what she believes she can do for your dealership. And
Yeah.
I've criticized Elise for this. And her rates are too cheap.
Oh.
She doesn't
Oh.
charge. She
Oh, you
doesn't
were
charge
telling me
enough. She
you
doesn't. She doesn't charge enough. And I have criticized her for this through the years. She should charge a lot more than she does. So when you hire Elise Kephart, you're getting more value than you're paying for. I'm going to tell you that, much more value than you're paying for.
Thank you,
So
Brad.
anyway, there's Brett Sutherland again. Thank you, Brett. I believe it was an amazing interview. Elise, thank you for your friendship and your loyalty through the years. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
Jim, thank you.
Take care.